Welcome to Infertility Unfiltered, where fertility experts and warriors are joining forces to provide you with tips, tricks, inspiration, and all of the things so that you can take back control of your body and get your baby on board. Hi, I'm Jennifer Robertson, and today we are joined by Anna Thea. Now, Anna is an author. She's also a certified Divine Feminine Educator. She educates women on how to connect to their power and the sacredness of their feminine side and reclaim their bodies as their own. And now, today we are going to be talking about something that's really important in falling pregnant and having a baby, and it's the difference between our masculine and our feminine energy and how to tap into our feminine energy. We're also going to be talking about how to reconnect with your body after fertility treatments, and also how to reconnect with your partner after all of the time sex, and sex also becoming part of just the process to have a baby. So thank you so much for joining us, Anna.
Thanks for having me, Jennifer. This is fun.
now before we start diving into the questions, I would love to know, like, in your words, what is a divine feminine educator?
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, we live in such a masculine world, right? And when I got certified, I actually got certified as a divine feminine educator and a spiritual sexual educator. And so, you know, I had actually got a double certification, but we learned everything around the divine feminine. Well, what is the divine feminine? The divine feminine resides in the female body. I mean, it resides in everybody's body, but the female body is where it really is its source, basically. And it's very well hidden because it doesn't have a safe space to come out and express itself in this more masculine oriented world. So what is, you know, the divine feminine educator is a person who helps people. My specialty is working with women to really reclaim their feminine, reclaim that you know, there's distorted views of the masculine and there's distorted views of the feminine. There's healthy views of the masculine, healthy views of the feminine. So it's really about helping women claim their wholesome feminine side, not the feminine side as defined by society of who you should be as a woman, but that part of you that's actually intuitive, that part of you that is the authentic expression of you, that part of you that feels centered and peaceful inside, the part of you that speaks your truth, the part of you that actually sets healthy boundaries for yourself. That's what a divine feminine educator does, is helps others do that.
Oh, I love that so much. And that is something that I know myself personally, and a lot of the people who are in my community that we really struggle with is actually being able to tap into listening and trusting our bodies and our intuition and just staying still, because we are so far in the kind of the push mentality and that masculine. So that's a great segue into masculine and feminine. Can you give us just a bit of a description of the difference between the two?
Sure. So I have a great article that I wrote about the difference between the masculine and feminine. It's on my website. Maybe we should even put the link, you know, in this below this video, so that people can access it. But basically, you know, we have positive and negative expressions of both the masculine and the feminine. Everybody has masculine and feminine energies within them. So the masculine energy is more focused, more driven, more goal-oriented, making something happen. It's logical, it's practical, it's get her done, you know, that kind of a thing. And then the feminine, and it's more linear, it's straight moving forward. The feminine is more fluid, more flexible. The feminine is intuitive, emotional, receptive. See, the feminine is the innie, the masculine is the outie, right? Anatomically, from the male and female, you know, point of view. But we can take that into just the energies, and that's another thing. Is it's not about, you know, a female and a male. It's really about masculine and feminine energies. And so the feminine, we don't take time to slow down. So for example, masculine is doing, feminine is being.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's why we find it And I think that's why we find it so hard when we're on our fertility journey and we're struggling to fall pregnant, because we are just doing, you know, we get into that, what do I have to do next? And that's why it's also so hard for us to be able to pivot and change that picture that we have in our head of how things are going to turn out, you know, not being able to pivot because we're just not in that flow state. So how do we get into that flow state?
Start to learn the difference between being in your head and being in your body. And all of us, most of us, I mean, I had a student, an older woman, she did my teachings for a year. And she finally realized, she says, I'm 60 years old and I've spent all my life up in my head, not even knowing it. See, our society really supports analysis. And if you can't see it, then it doesn't exist. All of that, right? Practical living. Whereas the feminine is impractical. I mean, the feminine's emotional, right? Oh, God forbid we be emotional, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's the thing. We're taught from a young age, don't cry. You go to your room to cry, and you know you're not supposed to be feeling the tough or the hard emotions, the things that make everyone feel uncomfortable. And that's why on this journey we feel like we can't tell anyone, because it makes other people feel uncomfortable.
Right. And see, this is the thing, is that especially with, I can imagine with fertility, it's with every person. If we don't process our emotions, it's literally stuck energy in our energy field that keeps us from having that flow and that receptivity. And so some people are more sensitive to that than others, but the women that are challenged with infertility are really being challenged to awaken deeper aspects of their feminine side. You know?
Yeah.
So your question was, how do we do this? I mean, there's various ways and practices. One of the things is, like I said, really understanding the difference of being in your head and being in your body. And most people really don't really know the difference. And so one of the things that I say as an explanation is, are you doing masculine forms of exercise or are you doing feminine forms of exercise? Did we talk about this before when you, okay.
No, explain the differences.
Okay, so I talk about this in my book too, Empower Yourself by Loving Your Body. But so masculine forms of exercise are things like, trying to make something happen, like lose weight, get a flatter belly, counting your calories, trying to accomplish a stronger muscles, or, trying to make something happen. Whereas feminine, and so it's not the difference between like football and ballet. That's not what I'm talking about. And then feminine forms of exercise are where you're actually doing exercises where you feel a sense of freedom in your body. That you're not trying to make something happen. You're not trying to, you're not in a goal. So, yoga, for example, can be both masculine and feminine. If you're doing a yoga class and you're trying to do the pose perfectly, or, you're trying to get more accomplished in your yoga poses, or do it for, a higher level or a stronger level, or better than the person on the mat next to you or whatever, then you're doing a masculine form of exercise. Whereas if you're doing the yoga and you're just really completely in your body, connected to your breath, and you're stretching out and you're like going inward and you're feeling this. I mean, I remember the very first time that, because I suffered tremendously from body image issues and food issues. And when I started yoga, it was very transformative for me. And I remember being in, it was Trikonasana, I think. I was in like warrior pose, and then went into Trikonasana, and I could just feel this wave of joy and bliss move through my body. And that was really the beginning of me understanding and healing my relationship with my body, of getting my head, not trying to do the pose perfectly, but just being in the pose and feeling the bliss of the movement of the energy. And that's what I feel like, that's the divine feminine.
Yeah.
That's the divine feminine. And that's when we start feeling our body in that way, then you'll have sacred conceptions. I really believe that. Yeah.
What are some other things, or what are some other signs of feminine and masculine, so that they can kind of pick where they're at, and some other ways that they can kind of tap into that feminine side?
Let's see, an analysis, having to have a reason why things are happening instead of trusting in the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know, always needing to have, you know, why. Stop asking why. It just is. You know?
Oh my goodness, it's bizarre that you say that, and that is where we're at on our fertility journey. We need to know why. Even if the question is why did I have a miscarriage when everyone else did not? You know, why does everyone else have a baby but I do not? And there isn't a sensible answer, but our mind just wants to continue to close the loop. And that question of why me can really hold us back, and it's so heartbreaking. Whereas I try to go from instead of why me, it's like what's next, you know. But I love what you're saying. It's not about the why, it's about the trust. How do we get into that trust? Because it is really hard when I think our natural thing for our brain is to close the loop. Like, what's the answer to the question?
Yeah, that is a hard one. If you're really, see, the more you grab for something, the more it stays out of your reach. And so this idea, I go back to your relationship with your body, not your relationship with your mind. And some people are just inherently have more mental functions, stronger mental functions than others, astrologically. I mean, it just is, you know, different people have different dispositions. And so if you have strong capabilities, or not even capabilities, tendencies to just be up in your head, it's going to be more challenging. But, you know, just to put hands on your heart, spend time like this.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Yeah, you've got to make contact. Mm-hmm. You've got to make contact with that part of you that is not trying to figure it out. You know, not, and you know, another great thing that really works is breath, movement, and sound.
Okay.
So breathing, getting connected to your breath, and then making sounds. And so the reason why sounds are so helpful is because we hold all this blocked energy. And especially if you're not speaking, you know, like I'm really suffering with this, you know, then you just make, and it's may sound silly, but you're really making sounds like, like that. Or, I know, and it sounds crazy, but it's really beautiful. And ha, the sound ha opens up the heart. But if you make deeper sounds, it helps you get deeper into your body. So, and
yes,
if you just put the timer on, I always like to use 11 minutes. You know, if you're really just freaking out and you're up in your head and you're saying, I'm not good enough, or why me, and you're in victim mode, just put the timer on, put your hands on your heart. You can even put your hands on your belly and just start making those sounds and breathing for 11 minutes. And you probably will have an emotional release possibly too. You know, and some people will find this easier than others, but you have to start developing some good tools to get you out of your head and start being in your body. And it's not easy, but let me tell you, when you get these tools behind you, it's going to be your lifesavers, you know.
Perfect. Yeah. And that's why, you know, at the end of a yoga class, the exercise that I probably love the most is the Om at the end. You know, you just do that release, and it just really does, you know, at first it feels a little bit silly, but then you kind of get into it and it just feels really good. Okay. So breathing, connecting with sound, pausing, all of those different things. Is there anything else to tap into the feminine, and connect to the body? Are there any? And I know I'm pushing into the masculine energy now. What can we do? What can we do? You know,
there's all kinds, and I have a bunch of tools inside my book, and my book's available on Amazon. But another one that comes up, and you can find me on YouTube. You can just do Anna Thea space shakeout, and I have 2 different videos. They're older videos too, but it's a Taoist practice, and you shake. So you start with your hands, then your arms, then your shoulders, then you do your legs on either. It's about 5 or 6 minutes. And you know, if if you're feeling tense, if you're feeling up in your head, if you're beating yourself up, why me? What's going on? Why can't I make this happen? Or you're just so stressed out about your situation. That's another beautiful tool, is the shakeout. Just shake out this need to have something happen. You can literally, as you're shaking out, put a statement to it of what you're actually letting go of. Because it's really blocked. It all comes down to energy. It's blocked energy. But in our world, in this masculine world, there's no talk about energy. It's all about, well, what do the tests say? And let's go give you another test, and this analysis and that analysis. And it's like the female body, especially the female reproductive system, your yoni, and I don't know if your listeners know what the definition of or the meaning of yoni is. She doesn't like that. She doesn't want pressure. Female sexuality does not respond to pressure.
Mm-hmm.
She responds to patience, reverence, honor, support, nurturing, sensuality, conscious touch. Then she just opens, she says, okay, everything's wonderful.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Now, can we talk also about connecting with your partner as well? So obviously that's got to do with connecting with your body, and like on this journey, it's so easy to just become about our body is not our own anymore, because we've been to so many fertility treatments, and so many people have looked at our vagina and it's just seen as a source of reproduction. And then also with our partners as well, it's not just a source of connecting, it is a source of reproduction. So for my husband and I, like, we struggled with sex for a number of years because it was all timed and it was all for a purpose other than connection. Like, how do you kind of get back in touch with your body? And well, we've already talked about that, but in terms of connecting with your partner again.
Okay, so I have a beautiful game that I made up years ago, because I think inherently inside me is this tantrika lady that just loves, I'm a queen of hearts in the astrological system, in the love card system. So it's all about sensuality and sexuality and love, the mother of love and all of that. So I made this game up many, many years ago in my effort to find some equanimity in the bedroom, and get my needs met. So, and this idea of the goal-oriented sexuality can be very, when you got the fertility thing going on, it's even that much more stressful. But a woman's sexuality is so much different than a man's sexuality on a biological basis. Very, very different. So this game, and especially if you're putting then this fertility goal, you're really hyper masculinating your connection, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to get something done.
Yeah.
And so a beautiful game to do to connect is it's a game that I call 2020. And so what you do is you go into the bedroom and you have your timer, and you're going to do, basically, how do I describe this? You're going to have one person be the receiver, the other person be the giver. And you put the timer on for 20 minutes, and and you decide who gets to go first. And so whoever's the receiver has to just receive touch. I mean, they can communicate and say what they'd like, but the giver gives them a touch for 20 minutes. And then at the end of 20 minutes, you switch. So now the other person takes turn giving to the other person. And then the other rule of the game is that there's no orgasms until no orgasms can be had until 41 minutes if you want, okay? But it's the first 40 minutes, 20 minutes this direction, 20 minutes that direction of receiving. And then after 40 minutes that you both have received and both given, then you just continue on and, whatever it is. So that's one beautiful exercise.
It sounds really lovely, because it is all about taking the time to, because it is very hard in this, like, receiving, like, it's all about, well, what do I have to give? And we give so much of ourselves to other people that it probably happens in the bedroom as well. But, just actually not, back and forth, just, I love that.
It's powerful. And, Everyone is at different comfort levels. So some, 20-20, I say, well, do 10-10, do 3-3. You can take this exercise and actually take it into just something real simple where you put the timer on and you have each take turns 3 minutes of just speaking and the other person's actively listening, and then you switch. Or the other one that's really powerful is I like to use the 11-minute thing too, because 11 is, I'm into numerology and astrology. But 11 is illumination. So 11 minutes where you put the timer on and you just look into each other's eyes. And that may be a lot more intimacy than most
Yes,
people.
absolutely. Yes. I'm just thinking about it now going, oh, that would be a bit awkward, but it forces you to, like you need to sit there and connect and stop and yeah, absolutely. Great tip.
But what comes up, what'll come up inherently when you do that, just the eye connecting, will be all the emotions that are blocks in allowing the fertility to happen, probably.
Yeah.
Because when you look into each other's eyes, you're going to feel that energy, whatever energy's there, to actually just be dealt with and held in each other's love and compassion. And it's vulnerable. It's vulnerability. But you have to have that if you're going to be parents raising kids,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness, Anna, I could talk to you forever about all of this. How can people find you?
So go to annathea.org, ANNATHEA.org. I highly recommend that you take my love quiz, because ultimately what this is all about, and you'll see that on my website, is about love. It's really about opening to love and bringing more love into your life. And when your body knows, oh, she's ready for love, everything's going to start working correctly.
Yes, excellent. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, Anna. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And if you enjoyed this video as much as I did, then make sure you give it a little love. Make sure you like it, share it, and subscribe to this channel as well, because this is just one of many amazing interviews as part of the Infertility Unfiltered series. So thanks for watching.